Welcome back to another episode of We Talk Fit.
With Mish and Dean.
Cool. You are live.
Cool. Well, today we're going to get into your story and your background, life before your diagnosis, life during your diagnosis, and then after and to now.
Cool.
So let's start at the beginning. Tell us about what sort of sports you played as a kid growing up, and what got you into those sports.
So as a kid growing up, basically just played most sports. Not bad at any of them without being like amazing at one in particular. Just good hand-to-eye coordination. Like I say, a kind of an all-rounder, I guess.
Yeah.
Without being too driven in one direction. As I got into my teens, played a lot more soccer. Knowing what I know now about talent and stuff, a fair bit of talent and potential. Had some trials, had some offers, so could have perhaps gone on to the next level. But through one thing or another, logistically at the time, family things and stuff, it just wasn't like, how do you put it? Logistically possible. We'll just say that. So that was more like sort of 15, 16-year-old and that kind of age. The gym stuff came like a fair bit later.
Yeah.
As a more of a young man.
Okay. Was that before or after you moved to Australia?
So I had been training like gym wise, obviously back in the UK still. Not PTing or just my own fitness.
Coaching and stuff, yeah.
And just generally probably male ego driven more than anything, just always been a skinny kid. Didn't want to be a skinny kid forever. Decided to take some action and just the usual stuff, like just trying to put some muscle on and not be skinny, basically.
Yeah.
No rocket science.
Yeah. And that started back in England.
In the UK, yeah.
Beautiful.
Like late teens, I guess.
When you started?
Yeah.
You're training and thinking. Cool. What was it like packing up your family and moving to Australia and still trying to keep up with your fitness and your health and...
Look, I guess like more work ethic wise than anything else. Like you know Leanne and I really well. We just kind of get on with stuff, so we don't really let things interfere with what we want to do or like regular activities anyway. So that it wouldn't have mattered if we're on the other side of the world, moving to the other side of the world. We just do things. Obviously, actually moving to the other side of the world is a bit more daunting, being so far away from family. I had a very close relationship with my brother and my mum, so obviously suddenly they're thousands and thousands of k's away. That's a big challenge, but Leanne and I just saw it as an adventure more than anything else.
Yeah.
Dylan was 3 at the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was we just treated it like a huge adventure.
Yes.
And an opportunity, I guess. Sounds very cliche, but
it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now that we've sort of gone through that, we'll go get into your diagnosis.
Yeah.
And get into what you were diagnosed with and what prompted you to go and get checked.
Yeah.
And the process through that initial stage.
So in the end of 2015, the start of 2016, I can't remember exactly. I think it was like December, late December, early January, maybe. It wasn't like spot on Christmas, but long story short, I had to go back to the UK for an elderly relative that was passing. And while I was there, I noticed like a lump on my eyebrow. Just through washing my face, felt something that wasn't meant to be there.
Normal, yeah.
Obviously didn't do anything about it at the time because I was in the UK around family. Came back to Oz, went to the GPs, got it looked at. And they said, look, we'll send you for an ultrasound, see if we can spot what it is, see what it is, and take it from there. Had an ultrasound of this lump. It was like under the hairline of my eyebrow, if you will.
Yes.
Nothing visible on the surface. Their questions were, have you been fighting? Have you bumped it? Which I knew none of those things had happened. The ultrasound or the radiologist said, look, it looks like a cyst or something. Maybe go back to your GP, they'll lance it and take it from there. Went back to the GP. GP said, look, unless I can categorically say this one thing or the other, I'm not prepared to just stick a needle in it. Would you mind if we referred you to a plastic surgeon? You got a biopsy done. So the GP said, look, would you mind if we referred you to a plastic surgeon? We'll biopsy it and find actually what's going on. Of course, no problem. Went to see the plastic surgeon. He's like, yeah, we'll make a small incision in your eyebrow. You won't even be able to see it. We'll just take out whatever's there. They did that, took it out, went back a week later. It was quite quick.
Okay.
Leanne and I can remember being quite surprised by how quick.
From getting the biopsy to getting a call to come back.
A call to come back in and see him.
Yeah.
So we went back in to see him and he said, look, unfortunately, the small lump we found is malignant. So what we have to do now is we have to take a slightly larger area, which is obviously what you can see now with the big cool scar that I've got. And we'll also run like a full body PET scan.
Okay.
To check that there's nothing else going on.
Yep.
And we're like, yeah, that's fine. No dramas at all. Just listen to the experts. So we did that. And again, relatively quickly, we were asked to go back in and see the plastic surgeon. And he said, look, unfortunately, or fortunately, we found that it hasn't spread on the surface around the area where the tumor was.
Yeah.
But we have spotted tumors in your lungs, which basically, and obviously he went into the exact details, but that's when I received the stage 4 diagnosis for malignant melanoma.
Where it had metastasis.
Yeah, so it had metastasized, which means it's gone into your bloodstream. And it had basically followed the path of lymph nodes, the lymphatic system, and had gone to my lungs. So obviously that's now pretty serious and obviously a little bit upsetting both of us. Jan probably more so because you're starting to worry about, I don't know, time frames and stage 4 and all these big words sound intimidating.
Yeah.
But that's the sort of up to the point where we got the diagnosis, I guess.
Take us to the day and how you felt with stepping into the plastic surgeon when you got called back and you were told that it was stage 4, and your thoughts and how Leanne was there with you and how she sort of helped you through that.
Yeah, well, like I said before, we take anything on just as a bit of a challenge. So we do everything together, and when I'm not so good, she's brilliant, and when she's not so good, I'm brilliant. That's just how relationships work, or should work. It's never perfect, by the way, but that's what support is. So you just treat it like any other appointment, I guess. You're seeing an expert and you've got to be open-minded and listen to the expert and they'll give you the advice. My feeling at that point in the conversation about diagnosis, probably shock more than anything else. I suppose at early 30s, you still think you're invincible and it'll always happen to someone else. Yeah.
Did you feel anything else, like when they told you that it was stage 4? Did you feel any other tiredness or anything like that as well?
Nah, not general health wise. I was in a pretty good place. We've touched on training 4 or 5 days a week. No, certainly no symptoms if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And strength was good, training was good.
Yeah.
Regular, consistent, eating really well. There was no real markers other than this physical thing that I spotted. Breathing was good, which is obviously ironic given the fact that it was in my lungs.
Yeah. Which is why it would be such a shock with it.
Yeah, so like I say, you just feel like you're a bit more invincible still.
Yeah.
Never specifically asked Leanne what her exact thought was at that moment in time.
Hello, how are we?
Yeah, I think so. I think we sort of half covered how I felt. Was still probably just shock more than anything. I wasn't too concerned, too worried. I don't think it had got to that point. I was still very much just in that trust stage of, and there's an expert here, I just listen to what they say. And if they're worried, I'll worry, sort of thing. But obviously professionals are good because they don't show you that bit. And then more probably concerned, I guess, as well, because then Leanne quite quickly showed signs of like the worry and the stress of, you know, young family, major diagnosis, who's going to be around, what's going to happen, not happen.
Dylan and Kobe? Or?
No, so Kobe was, I'm trying to think how old Kobe was, 6 months?
6 months old or so.
Ish? Yeah. I'd have to do this. No, she was probably a bit older, about 9 months, I think.
Yeah.
So just, I was probably more concerned for her.
Mm-hmm. So of a young family and...
On the mental side of stuff.
And then I'm going to read a little bit, we cut this little bit out.
That's all good. I'm a wizard.
Cool.
I guess that one there, like how do you stay... Like at the time, you don't feel like you're staying mentally grounded when you get
asked a question yet.
Bad news and stuff, but I can see where you're at. But I touched on the professionals. You kind of you just like as if you go to the doctors and you've got symptoms and you ask them for help. Like you're just going to listen, aren't you?
Yeah. Take the advice of the professional, and
that's if that's staying grounded, then maybe that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
We just felt like we were sort of trust and listen, and I was really fortunate that the people we dealt with at that point were calm, reassuring,
which kept you calm and stuff through it.
And typically we are an optimistic family, positive family.
Definitely.
We don't ponder too much. So I was in a good physical position. Without knowing it, you're already aware of that you're in a good spot to deal with. Which is kind of why we're doing this as well, is to try and get that message out about putting yourself in the best position possible because you don't know what's around the corner.
What's coming.
So.
Yeah. Cool. So while after being diagnosed with stage 4, talk us through the next steps that happened, what you went through, and the newer clinical trial that was available.
Yeah.
Through the next processes of your diagnosis.
So once we knew that it was stage 4, it was obviously going to be passed on to the oncology side of things.
Yeah.
So I got a wonderful oncologist at Charles Gardner Hospital. Can't say enough good things about that place when they had me. Really, really good. They looked after us. So then obviously discussing with them, they're the specialists in it. They're saying, right, okay, here's your options.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, given that it's nearly 10 years ago now, the 2 options I was sort of pushed towards were to be put on medication called BRAF inhibitors.
Yep.
BRAF is the mutation that happens with the cells that can turn into a tumour. So you would go on inhibitors that would basically hopefully prevent any further mutation, not necessarily do anything with what was there, but stop things getting worse. Or because of the physical condition I was in, which was pretty good, and my age and lots of other markers, I was offered a place on a medical trial of immune therapy. And without trying to sound like I know what I'm talking about, immune therapy is similar to chemo in the way that it's intravenous. You go in for treatment, you're on a ward for X amount of hours while this gets pumped through your system. The difference is chemotherapy would shut your body down to the point where cancer cells or foreign bodies can't live in there anymore. Immune therapy jacks your immune system up. So boosts everything to try and promote your own immune system, fighting it off, destroying cancer cells, etc., etc. So there was a lot of paperwork to go through. I can remember that at the time because it's a medical trial. I don't know if anyone's done medical trials, I suppose not, but a huge amount of paperwork because it was trialed and untested. There was a long list of potential side effects. And you don't know if you're going to get 1, 4 bad side effects, less side effects. It's very unknown. So you're potentially signing up for something that you're not sure of. And also the results, you don't know how effective it's going to be.
How it's going to work or if it's going to work.
So that was probably the biggest or the longest conversations we had. And that was even not just in the appointments, but Leanne and I, on a personal level, close friend, people you trusted the opinion of. You know, that was probably the biggest conversations was, what should we do? Should we try this trial or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you got much more to talk about in regards to that trial, or how it felt going through it?
Well, I guess
sort of steps once you started it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's where the bulk of the health stuff and the both the positive and the negative came in, was with that medication, not the trial itself, but the actual medication.
Mm-hmm.
So I was put on two. The trial I was on was 2 immune therapy drugs in combination.
Okay.
One, I'm trying to explain this. One was like a marker that would basically go to your T cells, which are in your lymph nodes, and almost like work like a highlighter and go, like, we're here, this is where we are. And then the other one would affect your immune system, boost it up, send it to those markers, and actually try and attack and try and kill off cancer cells or what have you, which we found out that it did do very well.
Yep.
The issue came for us, or my health, with one of the markers that was like obviously indicated as a possible side effect, was your immune system can't differentiate between what it needs and what it doesn't.
Yeah.
So what quite quickly started happening is when my immune system started attacking my liver.
Right.
I was working throughout this whole process, and at the time we had a cabinet making business, and I was actually installing someone's kitchen.
Yeah.
Became very hot on a relatively normal day. Couldn't control my temperature. Wasn't dehydrated. It wasn't a crazy hot day. No obvious things that were affecting us, and I just couldn't cool down. I was going very red, like flushed in the face. Started to get uncomfortable in like my stomach and stuff. So I called my work day, went home, went to bed. I remember Leanne was out and she came back in with the kids. And I said, look, I'm not feeling great here. I can't get comfortable. Just wanted to sort of curl up in fetal position, you know, we often have stuff like that going on, but I could just tell something wasn't right.
Not quite right.
So we went to hospital. Leanne actually wasn't prepared to drive us. She called an ambulance. So in hindsight, she must have seen how bad I looked.
Yeah.
And then so that's back to circle back. That's where we found out that my immune system had started attacking my liver.
Right.
So my liver function was up at like 300 and I think it was like between 320 and 350. And it should be sitting in the 70s.
Yeah. Yeah. Very triple.
So as it turns out, I was diagnosed with drug-induced hepatitis.
Yeah.
So that was like the start of anything negative that might have happened.
Yeah. So basically the start of the side effects, or start of some of the side effects that could happen with this.
Yeah, and it's obviously on a big old list of potentials. But it because of that, they kept me in hospital. We actually spent Kobe's first birthday in hospital. They weren't prepared to let me leave until obviously my liver function was under relative control. And to do that, they put me on a huge dose of steroids.
Yep.
Prednisolone, which is quite a common steroid for a lot of issues.
Yeah.
And in doing that, it quite quickly had a good effect on the gastrointestinal problems, and obviously liver function was becoming, somewhat nearer good markers. But unfortunately, the high dose of steroid medication sent my blood sugars through the roof. Again, normal range is like, depending on who you ask, is somewhere between sort of 4 and 6 or 7 maybes. If you start to get towards 8, they're going to be slightly concerned. But, 4 to 8.
Yeah.
Mine was like 22. So quite quickly it became like apparent that the new medication, the steroids, were now giving me drug-induced diabetes, type 2 diabetes. So then I was put onto another department in the hospital, and I was actually put on insulin to regulate my blood sugars. So, it's that whole knock-on chain of one thing affecting another thing. Then you have to have this to affect that to affect someone. Yeah. So it's like chicken and the egg scenario.
Yeah. Just trying to fix that sort of problem that was coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at. So this is obviously around the time where it started looking very different. holding on to a huge amount of like water retention, body fat in places that I've never held body fat in my life, and nothing else had changed.
This is all in about 12-month period, so
well, way shorter than that. Way shorter, like the 6 months.
Yeah, 6 months.
Like 6 months, really.
Yeah.
And by this point now, sort of, basically, I was in hospital for 10 days during this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Coming out of hospital when the liver function was under control.
Yep.
Blood sugars were still very high, but at a point where we could manage it with insulin.
Yeah.
I was obviously allowed home.
Yep.
But that's around the time when, like, aesthetically, I looked very different.
Yeah.
And then
to edema.
And then physically, obviously, couldn't perform. Certainly wasn't going to the gym.
Yeah.
And that was more the diabetes stuff affecting that then, by that point.
Yeah.
We did have like good results with the actual treatment itself for cancer. Like the fact that it was so aggressive meant that it was actually being the aggressive in the right way too.
Yeah.
So those appointments were good.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like this constant battle that, well, this is really good, but obviously it's going to be really severe here too.
Yeah.
So it's constant balancing act, I guess.
Right. So we've sort of spoken a little bit about how you went through like all the wins, fear, to the crap, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
Getting an ambulance and things like that called.
Mm.
When you started to get those changes in your body and lose a little bit of control of your body, like the time you were kicking the soccer ball with your son.
Oh, yeah. That's probably, and obviously I'm not a spring chicken anymore, but that's probably the most humbling thing I've ever had happen to me. And I don't know if it's through pride thing or a bit of that, or because I've been fortunate to have a great life or whatever, but kicking the ball in the pot. So I was out of hospital by, I don't know, a few weeks, trying to remember back, just kicking a soccer ball backwards and forwards on the grass, nothing strenuous at all with Dylan. And I remember my legs just completely gave way underneath me. Just like fell to the floor. Like, I hate to be disrespectful, but like, you know, when you hear about elderly people having a fall or whatever, it was just, there was no control, no reasoning, didn't turn fast, didn't have injuries that I was aware of, just completely gave way. Yeah. And I was like, that was the first time I was like humbled, where I felt something deep inside me was not right or where it should be. And that was probably the biggest realization of, right, okay, there's actually some work to do here. Yeah. It's not just going to be a case of, once you're off this medication, you're back to where you were. Yeah. It's like, right, there's a process.
Bit of an eye-opener in where you're at and what the medications have put you through, what your body's gone through.
And it's a huge pride thing there, as there would be for anybody.
Yeah, of course.
But like, I'm
still young.
Yeah, still young. And
how old were you? We haven't actually touched on that.
Do the math, 31.
So still early 30s.
Yeah, so like you should be in
tip top.
Which, like I said before, I was at the start of the whole thing. It wasn't an age marker, and I don't, you know me and how I think about these things. I don't see age as a reason for anything, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a good excuse for a lot of people, but
very true.
There's no data to back it up, really.
Go to the next one.
So that was the most humbling thing. And then obviously that's the first time where you're starting to become aware of, I hate to say it, but like negative thoughts.
Yeah.
And not everything's rosy, and not everything's going to be positive.
Mm-hmm. Where it started to have a bit of effect on your mental side of things.
Yeah.
The beginning of that, do you think?
So certainly the first
or marker you could think of.
Yeah. Clearly there was stuff going on that I just wasn't aware of till that happened. And then all of your appointments, you're just listening to, diabetes clinic, hematologists, oncologists, physiotherapists, because they're going to start, watching how your health markers are going, come with all the medication you're taking. Mm-hmm. So then, because I was now becoming a lot more aware, I don't know why, of how I looked.
Yeah.
That's where it really, and it wasn't a vanity thing as like, I want to be the best looking guy in the world. It was more of, and this is only my mental battle. It might not be the same for other people, but I was very aware that I wasn't who I wanted to be for my family, how I looked.
Yeah.
So thankfully, through the oncology department, I had access to psychologists, which obviously did wonders and gave me a great understanding of why I was feeling the way I was physiologically, because obviously medication's playing a huge part in hormones and stuff.
Yeah.
And also like the mental side of it, learning to cope with what we now know was like anxiety. And you know, it's dark times that a lot of people would struggle with.
Yeah.
And that's probably, you know, the part of the reason we're doing this is to show why I feel I have a unique perspective or insight into whether it's cancer or whatever it might be. You've all got bad things that might happen, and how we deal with it mentally, cope, and strategies around that. You know, yeah. So that's the of the whole story. That's, to me, that was the hardest thing.
Well, you spoke about earlier when you were like, you started getting into the gym when you were a teenager because you didn't want to be quote unquote a skinny kid. So you've built some muscle, you've gone all that way.
Yeah.
And then through your diagnosis and through all your treatments, you've gone to the other end of the scale where you're holding a bit of water and fluid and everything. So you've gone from one to the other, and it's sorting through those emotions of in the middle, really. Like,
I think it's when, and this is where I try and, like, with clients or friends or family or whatever, you try and relate your experience to how their circumstances might be similar in some ways. And you've got, like, suddenly, whether it's an injury or an illness or an accident, some of the control you've got over your physical and mental health has been taken away from you.
Yeah.
And it's how can we hold on to what we've got and try and regain some of that control. And it's like, again, through professional help, when you do have things like anxiety, it's not about controlling your thoughts. It's about being aware of them and not letting them dictate like what you're actually going to choose to do with it. We've talked about, like, there's always a choice, and that's why I say this stuff. It's because of the mental stuff I went through. I do think there's a point when we're given any situation or information where we choose how we're going to respond.